In the early 1960s, Marshall McLuhan coined the term global village. He predicted that electronic media would bring an end to individualistic print culture and what he called electronic interdependence. He believed that humankind would be moving from individualism and fragmentation toward a collective identity with a tribal base. When he was talking about the global village, the term had a negative connotation. He argued that if we were not careful with technology, our fragmented state would be reverted back to a society in which everything affects everything else, and there is a constant state of terror. Right now, McLuhan's predictions have not fully come to fruition, but one can see how its global village is forming to a certain extent. Through YouTube and video blogging, the world is becoming a smaller place. No longer can distance stop two people from face-to-face communication. Video blogging even allows people to transcend time barriers because parties can communicate when they find the time. No longer do both people need to be available at the same time to have a conversation. Although McLuhan's ultimate vision of the global village is rather sinister, there are both possible benefits and disadvantages that could arise in the more near future. One of the big possible disadvantages is that individual cultures could diminish as a result of video blogs. This is obviously not an immediate effect, but the smaller the world gets and the more we communicate with one another, the more similar we become. Eventually, we may even be more subject to mass influence because we share the same ideologies. On the other hand, bringing people together through video blogging can have positive effects on society. People are able to communicate with so many more people than they once were. Video blogging over the internet has become a way to spread a message to a large number of people very quickly. Also, someone living in a small town can have a much easier time trying to find others his or her own age with the same interests. In addition, the global village can help many regional and cultural biases and stereotypes to break down. By communicating with people who are different than oneself, you can begin to look past certain preconceived notions. Through video blog communities, people can gain a sense of belonging and can even help certain people discover themselves. You can start to see people getting a feeling of belonging through video blogs by looking at all the different groups on YouTube. Some people use this as a way to replace traditional social interactions with new ones through video blogs. Every day, 20 million unique visitors visit YouTube, many of which to watch and interact.
Be asking, how do all of these theories connect? Well, basically they're all views on how our perception of reality has been changed or altered, notably our perceptions of social interaction. Traditionally, we think of reality as something that's very solid. It's out there and we observe it with our senses, but that's not the case. Reality is something that we interpret using our ideologies and our structures that make those ideologies affect us. Traditionally, we think of these things as being very constant, but Jean Baudrillard, who we've talked about in class, points out that with the proliferation of modern CMCs, these things have become more and more fluid. Basically, what happens is that we no longer know what to orient ourselves towards, so it's like being in the middle of an ocean with no landmarks to look at. So let me try to give you a better example. Goffman's idea of performance. Basically saying how we change the way we appear, we act a certain way because we're performing for other people. Because everything we see is a performance on YouTube and other video blogs. We don't really know what that person is like. We only see what the things they want to present to us. And now we also have McLuhan's medium theory, basically saying that the medium itself holds a message besides what is expressly communicated. How does it affect social interaction is that because we believe that we're a little bit more personal, because of the inherent quality of the medium, that we start to believe that what we see is a real person. One of our group members saw that video of me as Ronald, the Lord of the Rings fan, and really thought that I was a freshman who hated my roommate and loved reading fantasy books and stuff, which I do, but that's besides the point. Now we also have, finally, McLuhan's theory of the global village, basically saying that we feel that because of these CMCs that we're part of a larger community of social interaction. But once again, as we pointed out, this is not necessarily the case because these interactions aren't real because of medium theory, because they're all a performance. So basically what in the end it is that we have a bunch of people who feel that they're part of a community with other real people, but these people in fact aren't very real. It's like being lost once again, but this time you're with other people and we're trying to use these other people as orientation. So basically, this is what Baudrillard calls a state of hyperreality. It's when, because we have nothing to hold on to, because everything is so fluid, that we're forced to find meaning and interpretation of our social interactions through self-referential methods. Basically, instead of referring ourselves to real things, we're basically forced to refer to ourselves and things that are around us that are simulation. The way that hyperreality is expressed is that we can no longer tell what is real and simulation. This may seem a little ridiculous to people to say that you don't know what's real anymore, but how many people, watch daytime television talk shows and think the people on those shows are real? How many people think the news is real? Are the friendships that you make on Facebook real? Am I up here on the screen real? These are all just images of the real. We forget that when we see things, whether it be on television, in the news, that they're just images of the real things. They've been interpreted for us, they've been edited. I mean, the news is not pure news. It's someone's perspective on the events that happened. This inability to tell what's real and not real is a pattern that we've seen a lot on YouTube blogs. There are a lot of people who watch these blogs, some of them, which we've mentioned, are blatantly fake, and believe that they're real. For example, Lonely Girl 15. She's been on VH1, people know that she's not real anymore. She's famous for not being real, but yet people still watch her blog and record themselves crying because they think it's real. Or maybe they just want to believe it's real in the same way that we want to believe that soap opera stars are real. No one's ever really considered the fact that maybe William Sled from Ask a Gay Guy isn't gay, and maybe even if he is, maybe he knows nothing about fashion. Maybe he's just doing it because he thinks it's fun. People assume these things are real because of all the reasons that we've mentioned: performance, medium theory, the global village. People have lost their ability to tell what's real or not, what's real and not. Basically, people are caught in a state of hyperreality. They cry over these things, which have known to be fake. They believe them without question. In a sense, our social interactions are becoming hyperreal.
In conclusion, our group has come to realize that all of these theories are applicable to the changing social interactions that are taking place within the world of computer-mediated communication, and specifically through video blogging on YouTube. Medium theory has shown that the interaction through media blogging is not just the content of a blogger's message, but that the medium itself conveys a message. Goffman's performance theory shows us that these social interactions through video blogs are not as real as they seem. And McLuhan's global village theory has given us some perspectives on the community of social interactions on YouTube. They can either be positive and help us to better understand each other, or be negative and make us one conformed mass. Finally, hyperreality shows us that these stimulated social interactions are often mistaken for real human interaction. We believe that the future prospects for video blogging are vast, as is the case with any computer-mediated communication that offers the chance to replace reality with an alternate one, such as Facebook, Second Life, or World of Warcraft. We predict that it will appeal to more and more people who are looking for an escape or an alternate form of social interaction. The purpose of our project was not to determine whether video blogging is beneficial or detrimental to social interaction, but rather to take a critical view at how social interaction is evolving as a result of video blogging. Thank you for watching.
Video killed the radio star.